Almost every piece of fitness equipment claims it'll help you train more effectively. But can effective actually be measured? This time, we're not going on feel, we're looking at the data. This is surface EMG testing. It doesn't look at whether the movement appears correct, but whether the muscles are actually engaged. When a muscle contracts, it puts out tiny electrical signals. By recording those, we can see which muscles are working on every pull and every press. Omni X1 was tested in standard mode the whole time. This mode gives a steady, continuous base resistance, closer to the familiar feel of traditional strength training: pressing, pulling, pushing down, and crunching. The people testing were recreational lifters who train regularly, not pro athletes. The same lifter ran the same movement in the same setting, on both Omni X1 and traditional equipment. Then we used EMG to see whether the target muscles actually fired. A higher EMG number isn't automatically better. If the goal is overall stimulation, more muscle involvement can be a good thing. If the goal is isolation, cleaner target muscle engagement with less compensation from everything else may matter more. Let's start with the bench press. A lot of beginners try to train chest, but their arms give out first. In this test, Omni X1 showed higher chest activation and lower triceps involvement. So the movement was more chest dominant, and it was easier to actually feel the chest working. Traditional dumbbell pressing has its own upside, too. It brings in more joints and stabilizers, for a broader overall stimulus. For the squat, traditional equipment showed stronger overall lower body stimulation. Which makes sense. Squats are inherently a highly demanding exercise that involves the entire body. What stood out on Omni X1 was less lower back involvement. For a lot of beginners, it's not the legs that give out first, it's the lower back. Less lower back involvement may help newer lifters focus on controlling the movement. So this isn't a simple, who wins result. The rope pushdown is a familiar triceps move in any gym. On average activation, the two were basically the same. The difference showed up through the hardest part of the range, where Omni X1 hit a higher peak. In other words, you don't need to relearn anything. It feels familiar, with a stronger hit right where the effort matters most. The biceps curl is about as straightforward as isolation gets. And the result is simple. The two were very close, with traditional equipment only slightly higher. Basically, this familiar curl carries over to Omni X1 with almost no learning curve. The lat pulldown was the clearest standout for Omni X1 in this test. The lats, rear delts, mid traps, and biceps all showed higher average activation than on traditional equipment. A lot of people train back but feel it in their arms first. Here, Omni X1 got the back muscles more involved. Training abs isn't about how many reps you do, it's about whether your abs actually contract. In this test, Omni X1 showed higher average and peak of activation. That means your abs do more of the work, with less help from everything else. At this point you might be thinking, does the new equipment score higher on everything? Some movements are about cleaner target muscle engagement. Some are about broader overall stimulus, and some come down to body angle and support. For the kneeling row, traditional equipment showed broader overall back recruitment. The lats, rear delts, and upper back were all higher on average. Omni X1 did hit a higher peak on the lats for a moment, but on average, traditional equipment was stronger across the main back muscles. On this one, traditional equipment was more consistent overall. Hip bridge work depends a lot on support and body angle, and purpose-built equipment has a real design edge here. It locks the body in more securely and makes it easier for the glutes to take over. In this test, Omni X1 did get the glutes involved, but lower back involvement was higher, too. What this tells us is that making hip bridges better isn't just about adding resistance. Bench angle, body support, and line of pull all need to be dialed in around the intended movement path.